Ready.
Okay. All right. Well, every month we have a main topic that we talk about, and this last month was apologetics. We kind of got into that.
Good discussion.
It was a good discussion. I got some feedback about it. People liked it because we don't get to talk about apologetics very much in the church, and it's not a new subject, but it seems like it's becoming more of a discussion.
Yeah.
And so we'll definitely have to bring it back because there's so much to dig into that. But for this month, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about evangelism and the church's role in evangelism and what evangelism is. And of course, everything that we do on the show is targeted towards young people. And so, many times we think evangelism is kind of an old person thing and or a pastor thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's pretty clear in the Bible that Jesus has commanded all of us to evangelize, to preach and to reach those who are lost and share Jesus with them. So I'll start with you, Ruth-san. Evangelism, what comes to your mind when you think about evangelism?
Well, when I think about it, it reminds me of when I was little, we were in a church in Ukiah, and we would just go, remember those tracts, the little booklets with the stories? We would go hand them out to people, tell people that we go to church and this is where church was, and that was it. When people say, oh, we're going to go evangelize, to me, that's like going to stores or going to whatever place and telling them like, hey, I don't know if you know, but we have a church here, everybody's welcome, that type of thing. And I know that there's a lot more to evangelizing than just that, but to me, that's what I've always thought of it.
I think that's probably what I can tie it to, as well as like all the tracts that are always in the back of the church, and you grab one and you're supposed to share it, right? And
we used to have one.
We did.
Used to have like a little
those holders.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to make paper airplanes out of them.
Did you really?
Ukiah Church still has tracts in the back of the church.
They do, yeah. Yeah, they have their little cubby holder and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's again. I think what's happening is that we feel like it's an old person thing, or we tie it to that, right? Like handing out tracts, and that's evangelizing, and that should be left to the older people, those who have had more time in the Lord and they know more than me, and so they should be the ones to do it and not me. But again, Jesus has called all of us to evangelize, and I don't know. Have any of you guys ever kind of been in a situation where you're at work or some friends or something and non-believers, and you're in a discussion or you're talking or you're doing something, and then you kind of stop and realize, oh man, I think I'm evangelizing right now, or it comes really organic, it's not something that you're
it's not forced,
right. I've found myself in situations like that quite a bit. It's just sharing with somebody, just a natural conversation, and it's funny how people just tend to share their struggles, just openly. When you're not pressing, you're just there, you're just in here. They're just like, oh, last week this happened, or work is hard, or bills ain't happening, or I'm having trouble at home or something. It's just and naturally you're just like, well, man, I feel for you. My life isn't perfect either, but I know because of the things I've gone through, Jesus has done this for me and has been this for me, and maybe he could be that for you too. And then it's just oh, snap, I'm evangelizing,
And to me, for a while, I was like, oh, that's not, to me, that wasn't about evangelizing. That was just sharing of Jesus or sharing the gospel, whatever. But it's the same thing. You're still sharing about Jesus. You're still letting Jesus shine through you in those moments. And evangelism just doesn't mean going out on the streets and saying, hey, come to my church, or hey, Jesus loves you. It can be seen in many different ways, like Ben just mentioned.
Yeah. So what do you guys think when it comes to evangelism? Are there any instances or cases where you guys?
We used to go door to door evangelizing when I was younger, probably about 9, 10, 11 years old, and
Did you guys have TVs back then?
That's why they went door to door.
That's
The color?
Yeah, we rode our donkeys.
Nice.
Door to door, yeah.
Through the mountains.
And I remember, man, it's some instances, yeah. And actually, door-to-door evangelizing, I kind of liken it to door-to-door sales. And I say that because I've done both. I've done door-to-door sales, and I've done door-to-door evangelizing. I did it when I was in my upper teens as well, back when my dad had his church, and when he was pastoring over. And it is so similar because there are things that you get taught when you're a door-to-door salesman, and if your hit ratio is like one sale out of every 10 doors that you knock, that's pretty good. And I remember, I always used to relate that to how evangelizing used to go. It's like, okay, well, if one or two people are kind enough to not slam their door in my face, and I've at least dropped a seed of the gospel in their home, that's a great thing. Because that's usually how the gospel works is, somebody, you hear something from one person, and then all of a sudden, when the time comes, the Holy Spirit goes into that person and convicts them in a way that that seed that you planted will do something. It's kind of the same thing, right? So that's kind of been my experience with it. I've heard many things about it as well. Some people have said, well, the best form of witnessing, is through your life.
Right.
And I halfway agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. It's essential. It's important for somebody who says that they're a Christian to reflect it in their life, so that others can see, hey, that Joe guy or that Ben guy, they're not bragging about being Christian, but I can tell that they're a Christian. That type of thing. But I think about, for example, the story of Philip that we read in Acts chapter 8, when he was led by the Spirit to go, and he talks to an Ethiopian, and this Ethiopian ends up being a eunuch for the queen of Ethiopia, Candace. Actually, I just realized that's where that name comes from. Candace. I like that. But anyway, and just from that random, well, not random because he was led by the Spirit, but to somebody else it would seem random, right? It was like,
coincidental.
It's like, wow, really? And although we are not told what happened, but we know that Ethiopia throughout history has been friendly to Christians, especially through the times of, I hope I'm not putting my foot in my mouth, but just what I'm trying to remember here, from like from times when, just to be general, from times when Christians were persecuted. Ethiopia was a place where they could go to. But gosh, I mean, can you imagine if Jesus had not given us that great commandment to go out into the world and make disciples? Then how would that church have spread?
Right, exactly. Right? Yeah.
So when we talk about the importance of it, we understand the importance of it, but yet it's so hard for churches to do the evangelizing.
Yeah, I mean, at our church we have close to 200 people, and how many people go on Saturdays to evangelize? I mean,
5.
Yeah, I mean the organized evangelizing groups. Like, what's the percentage on that? 5 out of 200. I mean, it's not very good. But those are the ones that go out faithfully, and the rest of us don't. I think part of that is trying to train and encourage young people to be a part of that too. And I don't know, Evelyn. I mean, what do you think as far as like why young people struggle with evangelizing? I mean, I know part of it is they themselves are dealing with self-identity, right? They don't even know if they can truly call themselves a Christian or if they even know enough to evangelize. But I mean, I don't know what you think. I mean, regarding them struggling with it, but
Well, apart from that, like feeling like you don't know enough to tell someone, or like feeling pressure to know the answer to every question that you get can be kind of taunting, you know, like, well, what if they ask me this? Like, I don't know, I don't know if I can answer that, or.
That's how I felt on Monday night in the Bible class.
But I think that's the truth for a lot of, you know, leaders, and sometimes even pastors. Like, you know, there's always going to be questions where we're not going to know the answer to, and it's okay to say that you don't know. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that you're leaving them hanging. You know, you can say, well, you know, let's look for the answer together, or, you know, I'll get back to you on that, or something like that. You know, having, you know, something to tell them, but not knowing if you can answer all the questions is one. I think rejection is a big one too. Like, it's really scary for, you know, a lot of, I mean, maybe not just young people, but people in general. Rejection is really scary.
And that's the other side of what I was talking about, the sales thing, the door-to-door sales. It's like, it feels horrible for 9 people to say no to you, right? But then all of a sudden you get to that 10th person, and you know, they're willing to talk to you. You're like, okay, cool. Yeah. But it's the rejection. Getting over the rejection.
Yeah.
Or when they take one of those tracks, right? And you give to them, and they just throw it away as you're walking away. And you're like, nice.
I think well, we had gone to a leadership class a while back, and I think that's one point they mentioned. It's like they had this pastor was talking about a young girl that he had taken to evangelize with him, and she came back crying because someone had like threw the track. Yeah, and so it's like, you know, his point was saying that it's going to be hurtful. Like, you know, you're going to have to learn how to kind of deal, I guess, with just, you're going to feel sad for the person, you know, but it's going to make you feel bad when they're rejecting you, or when they're like, don't want to hear you. I mean, that's kind of like the main things that come to mind, is either not knowing the answers to things, being scared of rejection. It can also be kind of scary, like you're kind of opening yourself up to, like, you're also being vulnerable with another person that you've never met either, because essentially you are kind of sharing your life story, and there are certain things where it might be kind of touchy, or you might not feel that comfortable sharing with another person that you don't know, but you don't know if that can help them, or if, you know, they can relate to that.
Right. I guess it also depends on who you're talking to, right? Yeah. Because if you're talking to somebody who's a friend of yours, unbeliever or non-believer, and you're talking to a friend, I guess you'd be more willing to open up about your personal life. But I mean, I guess you really wouldn't do that with a stranger, right? Open up about yourself or your testimony, unless they're sharing something with you and relate. But I think generally, a lot of times where we make evangelism complicated is when we start talking about ourselves. And evangelizing is not talking about ourselves.
Very true. Yeah.
It's sharing the gospel. Right. It's the gospel. It's the good news of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and I think that's so true. And, you know, I get the whole rejection thing, and you know, being afraid of being rejected, but I also think that like all it really takes is for one person to accept Jesus, and then all of a sudden you're just like, okay, this is possible. This can happen. You know, if I allow the Lord to use me, it can happen. So,
and it'll make it worth what you're doing.
I think like now, like we're living in a really digital age too. So I think even going up to a person and just introducing, or no, what's the word? Encountering a person, or like communicating with a person, like that's kind of tough for some people too, like at least for the younger ones nowadays, because we're just so used to communicating. Like it's easy for, like, if I find someone on social media that I don't talk to in person, but it's easy for me to talk to them over social media. Like it's easy to tweet or comment on this if I don't know you, but if it comes to like seeing that person in person, you're kind of like, should I, you know?
have to text people about Jesus now.
Send them a text.
Chain messages.
Messaging, yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think that we can't avoid the fact that evangelism is not only important to being Christian, but it is a commandment from the Lord, you know, and He has commanded us to make disciples and baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And so we can't run away from evangelism either. It cannot be a, well, you know, I'm afraid, or today's different than it used to be. That all may be the case, but I mean, Jesus has commanded us to still evangelize.
Yeah, and the target subject, guess what? They're still human.
Right.
They're still people. That hasn't changed. It's
Right.
been the same since Jesus gave us a great commandment. It has not changed. So that's important to remember, that there are still people out there who are living under the bondage of sin and don't have salvation.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people who, if we don't talk to them about Jesus, there's a possibility that it's going to end up in hell.
Yeah.
And that is the bottom line.
Right.
That's scary to think about.
We're evangelizing, we're witnessing, we're sharing Jesus Christ because we don't want people to go to hell.
Exactly.
Bottom line.
Well, I don't know if there's anything else you can add on top of that.
Well, there is actually, because
What?
I found actually Tom Rainer came through for me, and he wrote this really cool short piece about why do you think many churches aren't as evangelistic as they once were, and I can just read through a few really quickly.
Okay.
But Christians have, and this is number one, Christians have no sense of urgency to reach lost people. Number three, those many Christians and church members are lazy and apathetic.
True.
Meaning they just don't care.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care if he goes to hell. I don't like him anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like raised my hand. I was like, but by that I mean like I like Ben was saying to me. Well, my thought was like, oh, that's like an older people job. Like
Yeah.
all the you know the elderly of the church go do that. So I don't
Right.
I don't
The
care.
experienced Christians of the church.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6 was many church members think that evangelism is the role of the pastor and paid staff. Number 9, many church members don't really believe that Christ is the only way of salvation. Number 11, churches have lost their focus on making disciples who will thus be equipped and motivated to reach the lost. And that's kind of what we were talking about with the youth. Number 13 is most churches have unregenerate members who have not received Christ themselves. Some churches have theological systems that do not encourage evangelism. Wow. Really? What churches are those, I wonder?
Yeah, I wonder.
Our churches have too many activities. They are too busy to do the things that really matter. Yeah. And these were all replies from a Twitter poll that he made. And he asked, why do you think many churches aren't as evangelistic as they once were? So it's some interesting stuff. And I sent you the Evelin, so maybe you can share it.
Yeah, we'll definitely repost
Put
it
it
on
somewhere.
the Twitter and all that.
Link it in the comments section.
Exactly.
below.
Or
Or
the
I
comment
mean,
section
description.
below.
My
Or this
top 5
episode.
this episode is on Christian apps. Number 5 is one called Olive Tree, and it's basically an app that just helps enhance your Bible study needs. Number 4 is called the Planning Center, and this one was really exciting because I remember when I went to go sing with my brother-in-law at his church, they use this for their service, and it basically is an app that helps you scheduling your church services. It lets you like put in the order of the songs, like the track list for the song, like the lyrics for the song. But this one costs money though. For 25 members, it's $14 a month. That's like the cheapest price. But that doesn't seem like a very...
No, I mean, I've
thing.
used the Planning Center for worship as well. And another part of the Planning Center is it also provides for pastors to be able to plan sermons if they're doing series or who's preaching on what day at what time. The Planning Center even provides a way for children's ministries to like check in kids as they're coming in and out of their place. So it's kind of it's not just a one, I mean, it's an app, which is really handy, but I think they actually have like a whole system that provides all these kind of different things to churches. So planning services, I highly recommend.
Number 3 is more of an artsy app. It's called Devo, and it's just daily Bible devotions through like using graphics.
Cool.
So I mean, that's definitely something that you can put like on Instagram and stuff. Number 2 is called Faith Life, and it's the world's largest study Bible. It allows you to customize things that you want to see like on your homepage. It has devotionals on there too, dictionary, like a built-in dictionary of words in the Bible that are kind of hard to understand. And then it has like pictures as well. Like I saw a picture of like a temple, just so it allows you to kind of visualize like what you're reading and stuff. So, and then my number 1 app is called the Right Now Media, which is an app that we have that I definitely love. It has videos, it has books, it has devotionals, it has Bible study materials, it has like anything that you can think of, it's there all in one app.
There's a lot of leadership study material. They have a lot of awesome illustrations, so short videos, funny, dramatic, about youth, about missions, about women, about marriage, all kinds of like anything that you need. For the amount of stuff you get on there, I mean, it's worth it. So Right Now Media for sure. So definitely download those apps. If there are any other apps that you guys can think of, then definitely comment below. We like doing this. Comment below and let us know what is your favorite Christian app, and we would love to know. So yeah.
Aloha, Pastor Gary from Hawaii here with a little leadership lesson for you. I recently experienced a problem that was something I had to settle, and it was a very perplexing problem. It involved a lot of different people and personalities and misunderstandings and legal issues. It was a mess. And we recently had a meeting where we were all sitting together as leaders in a circle, and it just seemed like we suddenly began to identify that we were missing something. There were really 3 problems, 1, 2, and 3, and those 3 problems were seemingly unrelated, but when we looked at them as a totality, problem number 1 solved number 2, number 2 solved number 3, number 3 solved number 1. Everything began to come together clearly. What really happened was we stopped leaning upon our own understanding, and we began to trust in the Lord with all our hearts. That's Proverbs chapter 3:5. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. That's exactly what we began to do in that meeting, and we suddenly saw God's wisdom manifested through that collaborative leadership team. It's amazing what starts to happen when we've been in leadership for just a little while. We begin to encounter problems and we start to trust our experience, or we trust our education, or we trust our expertise, or we trust something we read in a book, or we trust our titles and positions. And none of those things are the solution. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your understanding. He has all the wisdom and all the solutions for every problem you'll encounter as a leader. God bless you. Aloha.
Hello everybody, we are back with the Chopshop TV, and I am here with our brother Kirk Rising. He's going to tell us a little bit about him and what he's doing.
I'm the International Youth Director for Church Out Conference. So that's ages 12 to 35, 12 to 17, and 18 to 35. We work with college students in middle school, high school, and then college, and then up to young marrieds.
And so what are your visions right now for the future of college and career ministries?
The 3 areas that we're working with are the college and university student, the young professional, and the young marrieds. For the college and university students, the main thing is keeping connection, because many of them go away to school. So we're trying to keep them connected to not only our churches, but also connected to Jesus. For our young professionals, a lot of times the guys who choose not to go to school They're just sitting in our churches doing nothing. So we want to move them from sitting into service, to serve their community, to serve the church, to serve their fellow man. And then, of course, for young married couples, we believe marriage is for life. And so we want to be a part of their early marriage so that we can help them love each other, that we can help them through struggles, that we can give them advice.
So talking about college and career, did you go to college?
I did. I went to the University of South Carolina. I didn't graduate. I left after 3 years and moved to Hawaii. When I came back, I came to Raleigh, North Carolina and opened a business. Because of my sports background, I always wanted to have something like a Foot Locker. And so that's what I opened a sporting business.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, what do we expect for our last day today here as far as the Waves Conference? What are we to expect?
Certainly we want everybody to come out and hang out here. Tonight BJ Putnam is doing worship. We're going to be talking about the generations tonight, the waves of generations that have gone through our church. And then we'll also do a reading in 3 different languages from around the world. So it'll be really cool to see the generation, diversity, and then at the end we want to talk about the generations helping each other. The old reaching to the young reaching to the old.
Well, thank you so much, Kirk, for allowing me this time. I know you're super, super busy right now, but thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking to me about the future of the college and careers. And we will see you guys on the next episode.
God bless the Chop Shop.
All right, now it's time for one of my favorite segments, and that is Chop Shop Top Tweets. Each of us pick our favorite tweet that we read, and anyone can get their tweet read on the show. All they got to do is tweet and then hashtag Chop Shop Top Tweets. Really easy. If you do that, we'll read your tweet on the show. Well, what is your Chop Shop Top Tweet this episode?
It is from Psychological Facts at the Facts Book, and it says neurologists claim that every time you resist acting on your anger, you're actually rewiring your brain to be calmer and more loving. Which kind of hit home because I feel like lately getting annoyed with things that I can easily just be like, let it go, and then it'll help me be. But here's the thing, I ask for patience. I ask Jesus for patience, and He gives me situations where I can be patient.
That's why I don't ask Jesus for patience.
Jesus, I
learned that a long time ago. You know what, Jesus? I'm happy with the patience I have right now.
I have enough patience as it is. Well, Joe, since you have plenty of patience, what is your Chop Shop Top Tweet this episode?
Mine is from @ChuckSwindle, and it says, in our evangelistic zeal, we can cheapen the gospel by begging people. Share the word. Let God do the work.
That's a very good reminder. My Chop Shop Top Tweet is from @Omar_PK, one of my good friends, and his is very simple, and that is, I will not go if God does not go with me. So it was just kind of a good reminder, just like, you know what, I should wait on Him, I shouldn't force anything. And my attitude should be, if God doesn't go, then I'm not going to go either. You know, and I think that's a good way to look at anything in life. Evelyn, what is your Chop Shop Top Tweet?
Mine is from @CS Lewis, and it says, though I'm 44 years old, I'm only about 12 as a Christian. Mention me in your prayers. And I know, and I'm not saying it like literal, but I feel like a lot of times we put people who have been in the church in a really high pedestal, and we're like, oh, they're super holy and they're like, they've reached this level or whatever, you know, and you kind of forget that they need prayer too. Like, they're still human and they're still facing trials and tribulations. We can't forget either that we're also human and everyone needs prayer, no matter what level you think they've reached.
Well, that's all the time for us today, and we thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, you subscribe. Make sure you follow us on all the social media. TV.
Everything is a Chopshop TV except for Twitter.
That's
Twitter
right.
is _@Chopshop.
All right. Well, until next time, I'm Benny Fuego.
I'm Rotisa.
I'm Evelyn.
I'm Joe.
And we'll see you guys next time here on the Chop Shop. See you guys later.